What's going on? What's going on, Film Fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Here with my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you living, bro? How you feeling?
Feeling good, feeling great, man. Another day to talk ball, man. So I'm here for it. You know what's going on.
Yeah, you already know, man. Already know. You know we love to do that, man. So you know we're gonna do that. Of course, man. We got a good show for y'all today, man. We're gonna be breaking down the safeties in this class, man. The safeties coming out of all these different universities, man, hoping to go into the league and make a difference. But before we do that, of course, got to go through the house rules, man. We got house rules. Anytime you got to step into the crib, man, this we got house rules. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You got to follow the rules when you walk into the crib, man.
That's a
Number
fact.
one, that's like, share, and subscribe, man. Become the newest member of the Film Fam. Of course, we would love to have you. Talk to us. We talk back, man. We love to debate. We love to go through the football, man. We love all this stuff, man. What we do every single Wednesday night at 7 o'clock is what we love to do, man. And don't let the season fall into place, man. Of course, you know we love that Sunday too. And then also, you gotta hit that notification bell, man. Because how else are you gonna know when me and Willie Jack got something going on, man? And I guarantee you, we will not let you down. All right. Without further ado, Willie Jack, we're gonna go ahead and jump into some of this news, man. And the first news we're gonna jump into is a guy that we actually talked about towards the end of the season, or actually from like the middle or towards the late of the season, the late parts of the season last year, you know, and we were speculating, all right, where would be a good fit for him? You know, who could he go to now and help them, you know, in their playoff run? You know, we talked about Dallas. We talked about a lot of different teams. Turns out he didn't get signed at all. But finally, man, our guy, former Ram and almost Super Bowl MVP, Odell Beckham, you know what I'm saying, got a ring with your boys, you know what I'm saying, but that's a whole other story. Uh, Odell Beckham, man, he signs a 1-year deal, man, worth up to 18 million, but it gets 15 million guaranteed, man. Willie Jack, I got to give you your props on this, man, because when we talked about it and we talked about how Odell Beckham was requesting 20 a year, you told me specifically, man, we saw Odell Beckham play. You know, we know what he's capable of. You brought up, you know what I'm saying, that the run that he had towards the second half of the season with us. And you told us, man, I pay 15 for him. You told me out your own mouth, I pay 15 for him. So first and foremost, kudos to you, Willie Jack, for calling that move, man, because you was on point with that one, because he got 15 million guaranteed for a year, man. But go ahead and talk to me about this move, man. How you feel about it, man?
No, honestly, I am surprised to see it beat Baltimore. And so now one thing this does tells me that he did go ahead and secure the bag, because you don't know who that quarterback is on the team. And then even if you know it's Lamar, you still got to be apprehensive if you're a player like Odell, who wants to get, you know, he wants 100 targets a season. He wants 1,500 yards. And so we haven't seen a receiver be able to thrive like that in that Baltimore offense. And so without even knowing if Lamar's going to be there, and then even if he is there, just that offensive scheme and how you've seen receivers used, it's generally been a place that's not been, I guess, as appealing to a lot of free agents. And so there, ergo, you see the bag, 15 million guaranteed, chance for it to boost up to 18. And so it tells me he went ahead and secured the bag. And I'm not mad at that at all. Like I said, he's a guy, I think he just touched 30. He's already got his ring. You know what I mean? And so we just seen him miss another year of football as he recovered from an injury, just like you just said. And so, but I'm not mad at the move at all. And honestly, it almost feels day late and a dollar short for Baltimore. It took 4 years, or 5 years now. It took 4.5 years going into Lamar's fifth year. Or no, he just came off his 5th year option. Excuse me. It took 5 years to go get a legitimate outside threat. We've seen them bring in guys like, well, who they just brought in, Nelson Aguilar. We've seen your run-of-the-mill C-tier guys that they kind of rotate through there that haven't been able to prove to be difference makers. And so this is the first time they've actually went out and actually secured and went and grabbed a real deal, legitimate X factor on the outside. Now, the only thing about that is, like I said, who knows if Lamar's going to be there tomorrow. But in seeing the news, and then I've seen that it says that Lamar was actively a part of the recruitment of getting OBJ there. So maybe that spells good news, I guess, if you're a Ravens fan as well, that maybe there is light at the end of this tunnel, and maybe that Lamar and the Ravens do come back around and decide to get something done. And so before this move, I really didn't think Lamar was going to play for the Ravens this year. And I thought it was going to get to the point to where he may just sit this year out. Like, that's how strongly I thought he felt about the situation. But now seeing OBJ go here, and I'm not going to lie, money or no money, I'll be hard pressed to believe that OBJ signs there if he hasn't had some style of communication with Lamar. Like, hey, bro,
For
what we
sure.
doing, man? Hey, like for real, man. Before don't let me show up here and then just leave me hold my own bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the deal? So I would have to think that there's a greater chance now that definitely greater chance or greater movement maybe behind the scenes that Lamar's coming back. But love it for Lamar. Love it for I guess Lamar and the Ravens. I guess like I said, you get assuming Lamar comes back and plays, we get to see once and for all now, okay, what's he do with a legitimate weapon? And so I like that for Lamar and the Ravens. And then also I like it for Odell because I like that he went out there and secured himself a nice bag. Because I think when the reports were coming out that he was asking for 20, I think he came back and pushed back off that a little bit. He was like, it doesn't have to be 20, but he said he was getting offers for like 2, 3, or 4. He was like, it ain't gonna be 2, 3, or 4, but it ain't necessarily got to be 20. And so the 15, why that number made sense to me because that's the number that we just saw Michael Thomas sign for with the Saints. It's a 1-year, $15 million deal for a guy that once had a big name, hasn't played a lot of ball in the last few years, and so it's a happy. It was kind of the structure of that Michael Thomas contract with New Orleans really laid out the blueprint for me for Odell, and then honestly seeing them sign for it, like just like you said, it just all came together.
For sure, for sure, I'm with you on most of what you said, Willie Jack. But here's the other thing too. I definitely think he had some conversation with Lamar Jackson. I think that's number one. But at the same time, I don't know how many teams were lined up um to 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 pay Odell Beckham that 15 million guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? Or that could go up to 18. So you're talking about a receiver who had multiple knee surgeries. You know what I mean? Who was also what 31, 32, something like that.
No, I thought he just turned 30, or
Yeah,
maybe he's about to turn
I
31.
know, I know he's in his 30s. Either
Yeah,
way, you know what I'm
I think
saying.
he started 31.
For a position that uses a lot of its athletic ability. Not to say Odell Beckham doesn't have it anymore. Because I'm a firm believer that Odell Beckham. It's a lot of people that's not on that train anymore, but I'm a firm believer. I seen what he's capable of. I seen best Odell Beckham at his best, and Odell Beckham at his best is amongst the top receivers in the league. You know what I'm saying when he's in that bag. You know what I'm saying, but. Still, the injury history and taking everything into consideration, I don't know if there were many teams kind of lined up, like I said, to pay him that 15 million, you know what I'm saying, because of his past situation. But honestly, I kind of do like the situation. They had an obvious need on the outside at receiver. They already had your Mark Andrews. It seems that Rashawn Bateman is going to be a solid receiver for them moving forward. But that's something that I feel like is is a good position for him, but would also set Lamar Jackson up to be successful if they're able to land that and get that deal done. So I want to see what it's going to look like when it's all said and done, and hopefully we can get these guys on the field together if things don't continue to go sour as it already has started to with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson.
No, for sure, for sure.
For sure. All right, and we're gonna stay in the AFC, Willie Jack. Let's talk about Jeffrey Simmons, man, defensive tackle, man, for the Tennessee Titans. A guy that me and you both love, man. We watched him, do some great things for this team and be the leader of that defense and hold them down. He signs a 4-year, $94 million contract, man, with the Tennessee Titans. Do you? How they? It's been a long time. I think you need to holler at Alexa real quick, Willie Jack.
Alexa, cue the King Dolph get paid. Hashtag secure the bag. Hashtag bag secured. Hashtag that man got paid. I ain't got to say pay that man. The man got paid. Shout out to you, big
For
dog.
sure, man. And of that 94, 66 of that is fully guaranteed, man. So, hey, man, I think it's a well paid contract. I think it's a guy who's definitely due. Who's earned his keep multiple years, back to back years of all pro caliber years. You know what I'm saying? At a position where there's a few guys, a few names out there that people like to throw out and people talk about it. They're amongst the top, but this guy continues to be consistent and be successful at that defensive tackle position, and is one of the reasons why that Tennessee Titans run defense, is what it is. It's solid. It is, including a great ability to pass rush too, man. So I like the signing. I like Jeffrey Simmons, man. Jeffrey Simmons is a straight dog for real, and yeah, man, I want to see him continue to be great over in that system.
No, just like you said, man, especially for a team that's been dying to find a pass rusher. And so they've tried and they swung and missed. Well, they swung and missed on Bud Dupree, $80 million coming up from the Steelers. Got over there, got injured, and really just didn't produce. Then they get an explosion in production from Harold Landry, who was in his last year contract year, and then he does have. He did have, I guess, good production, but hasn't really proven to be a good difference maker. But again, like I said, the team just desperate for difference makers in that front seven. And so this, just like you said, man, definitely the key to that defense at this time, and especially that front seven. And just like you said, man, very viable against the run. Has good sack production. I think he had like 8 sacks. I think 2 years ago was that breakout year, and I think he settled somewhere around, was it 8 to 10 sacks. Followed it up with another productive year this year. I don't know his numbers off the top of my head, but like I said, man, well deserved, man. We love to see, we love to see it happen. We love to see it over here, man. We love to see any and all the players get paid for sure. And I think just like you said, man, a guy who's ascended these last couple of years, he's firmly put himself in that top 5-6 mix at the position. And that's a position that's pretty stacked at the top. We still got Chris Jones, we still got Cam Hayward, Aaron Donald when he's healthy. You know what I mean? So I would still say he's probably behind those three, but I think he's firmly right there in that mix after that. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Washington, like those, he's right there in that group for the top 5-6 guys in the league.
For sure. Definitely with you on that. All right, Willie Jack, we stayed in the AFC, man. Let's go over to the NFC, man. We had a couple of things going on in the NFC, man. The first one, we had a move, man. We had Jeffrey Okudah, man, former first-round pick cornerback of the Detroit Lions, man. He gets traded for a fifth-round pick to the Atlanta Falcons, man. Willie Jack, talk to me about this move.
I was a little surprised. Well, when it happened, I guess it makes sense in this aspect because he was very highly drafted, top 5. I want to say he was like number 3 or number 4 in the draft when he came out of Ohio State, and then didn't really hit the ground running. He got injured, got kind of banged up, and he was trending. Honestly, he was trending bust. And so I want to say, just this last year, or maybe these last 2 years, but specifically this last year, he really kind of. And I don't want to overdo it. To say he took a massive step forward. It wasn't a turnaround like we saw from AJ Terrell, where he went from maybe top 30 guy, and then he turned in a year where he was top 3, top 4. It wasn't that drastic an improvement, but a substantial improvement nonetheless. And so they were in a position where he's on his 5th-year option. He's going to be due $11 million this year. And honestly, as limited as his production has been with the team, given this injury history and just as long as it took for him to kind of come around and be solid, I realistically don't know if he was going to be able to be re-signed and paid because he's going to be looking to get paid. They bring in a guy. They bring in Cam Sutton. He gets, if I remember right, was it $11 million a year or $11 to $12 million a year over 3 years? You bring in Chauncey Gardner Jr. Now he's a safety, but he's going to be combo safety slot style player. And then you bring over Emmanuel Mosley from the Niners, who's got his own injury history, but a 1-year, $6 million kind of prove it deal. And so I think they did that to free themselves up from being obligated to maybe being pigeonholed into having to maybe feel like they have to overpay for Okudah based on 1 year of legitimate solid production that's still not outstanding. And so they make the move to recap some of that draft capital. And then where they're positioned in the draft also, I think, makes a lot of sense because they're positioned to get the top corner in this draft. And so the first 3 or 4, the first 4 picks, it's assumed that 3 of those are going to be quarterbacks. And then of the next 2 picks, because they pick 6, of the next 2 picks, it's assumed that it's going to be defensive linemen, pass rushers. And so they're going to have their choice of choose your flavor. Do you want Christian Gonzalez, the long, lean, smooth, just do it all athlete, or do you want Devin Witherspoon, the aggressive, in your face tone setter, man stay in your hip corner. So they'll have their choice between those 2 right there at the top. And so it tells me that they're zeroing in on that position with that 6th pick. And then, like I said, they also position nicely that they got a 2nd pick later in the middle of that round as well, where they can still come back and attack another position as well. So I think it definitely shows they're going corner with that top 6 pick. And then I think looking at it long term, it makes sense contractually as well because they probably weren't comfortable having to pay Jeff Okudah off of 1 decent year finally.
For sure. And that's what I was going to mention too, Willie Jack. You kind of beat me to the punch, but I was going to mention the top 10 draft or the top 10 picks that you mocked, and we talked about a little bit last week. And you had the Detroit Lions sitting ready to go to pick up a corner. And now this opens that door. It's saying, okay, I don't necessarily have to pay Jeffrey Okudah. We don't have to. entering into or getting ready to enter that time period where he's going to be expecting a contract, or you're going to have to make a decision with that. You just say, you know what, let's just wash our hands with it. Let's get a draft pick because we're already set and ready to go to pick up one of the top corners in prime position. So now I do think what you said makes more sense in terms of getting Gonzalez there, especially with already having Christian CJ Gardner Johnson, there in the position that he plays. I know he's a safety, but with the way that they're doing or they're working defenses nowadays, I think that Christian Gonzalez will be a great fit as that outside corner and still having CJ Gardner Johnson who can operate on the inside and with crossover.
Along with Cam Sutton, who's also going to be inside flexible as well, is going to do a lot of work inside as well.
For sure. So you got to have a little bit of balance there, and not necessarily a guy that just is hanging out outside. What's up? What you gonna say?
No, and I was also going to say, man, we should also give a shout out to the other young corner that came in, man, Enrique, or they've got another corner there with a difficult name for your boy, but like on your man, I can't think of his name, but he's also a young corner that had outperformed Jeffrey Okudah to this point in their careers. I want to say they came in. I don't know if they were the same draft class or if he was a year before, a year after. But you already have a young guy who's way cheaper because I think he was a mid-round pick. He was like maybe a third-round guy, so he's probably a third of the price. And for the last 4 years, he's definitely outperformed Jeff Okudah, who just finally turned in a year that finally says like, okay, so there's the guy we thought we were getting. But you get this guy in year 5 instead of year 1 because, like I said, it was a vast improvement for what he had put on film production-wise, but it still wasn't outstanding. It still wasn't top 5 caliber play, especially when we've been spoiled by seeing guys like Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn kind of come in and hit the ground kind of running, and then now you're going into year 5 with a guy you, like I said, took number 3. And so, it all lined up for me.
For sure. And our last bit of news for today, man, let's stay on the NFC. We're going to go to Tampa Bay, man, where Devin White, young stud linebacker, middle linebacker with Tampa Bay, man, he has requested to be traded. Per sources, it seems that he's, I guess, is a little frustrated with, contract negotiations and things like that are going on. Man, if you ask me, man, he know they ain't got a chance to be a top team, man, to win. You know what I'm saying? But no, he won his bread, man. He won his bread, and now he has requested a trade, like I said, due to his frustration. So, Willie Jack, what's your thoughts on this one, man?
Honestly, man, the Devin White situation to me is a little similar to what we just talked about with Jeff Okudah, but for a different reason. Now, he hasn't been injured and suffered. I guess he hasn't missed a lot of time and had his play struggle as a result of that. But honestly, Devin White for me is honestly a little overrated. I really think he is. He was a part of that championship team, of course, with Big Bad Tom Brady and them came in and got it done. They got excellent play from Levante David that year as well. And so he was he really kind of turned it on in the playoffs during that playoff run. But even the way he was impactful, he was an excellent blitzer. I think he finished that year with like 8, 9, almost 10 sacks as an inside linebacker. So attacking downhill blitzer. But honestly, he struggled in pass coverage. And this is a guy who came into the league and was a top 10 pick because of how athletic he was coming out of LSU. So I think he ran high 4.3, low 4.4, but he struggles in coverage to the point to where he can be considered a liability, honestly. But I think his name holds a little more weight than what actually he's given on the field. And so, what I've been hearing is that it's a contract dispute. And I think kind of like I was saying to Okudah, where he's a good young player and he's primed to be paid like a great young player. And I think that's where it's coming in. It's like, because the auto reports are saying that Tampa Bay would want him back, of course, especially you've got one last go around with Levante David, who signs a 1 year, kind of finish out his career style of contract there. And so Devin White was drafted to kind of learn from and then eventually succeed Levante David as a centerpiece in that middle linebacker role. But honestly, like I said, I would still say that for the last 3 years, he's been outperformed by Levante David. You know what I'm saying? And so, and like I said, he's coming to his 5th-year option. I guess he's and then also seeing the way the inside linebacker, the athletic inside linebacker market has kind of exploded here recently with signings like Roquan Smith getting $20 million a year, signings like Tremaine Edmonds getting like $18 a year. TJ Edwards goes from the Eagles to the Bears as well. I think he's getting somewhere around No, I think his deal might have been more reasonable, but all said, well, Fred Warner is a guy who's 15 million or more a year. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
top of that linebacker market is a pretty penny, and I think he's a guy who's looking to cash his name in and put his name in that type of ring, that 15 to 20 ring. And realistically, Tampa Bay's probably looking at you like, we love you, but we don't love you like that. And what you ain't showed us 15 to 20. You'd have probably showed us somewhere
10 to 12.
yeah, I was gonna say exactly, and I'm glad I didn't even want to be too cheap to say. I was scared to say 10 to 12. 10 to 12 sounds really comparable. You know what I'm saying? And so that's exactly the range I think that he's shown, and that's still banking that he's still gonna take another step forward. Because if this is it, then that ain't enough, big dog. Like if what we've seen so far is it, then that ain't enough, and it's definitely not enough to be, like I said, paid in that echelon, like we just said. So I'm curious to see how that one plays out.
For sure. And I think this last year actually hurt him the worst, especially because this last year was a very bad year for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're gonna do a little bit of analysis on some of the rookies here, but when I watched them and I watched their team, and the difference between their defense wasn't the same. The defense is all right, but they wasn't the same. And I watched him, he missed a lot of run fits. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't tracking the ball or pursuing the ball the way that he once was when we saw him in rare form in that playoff run. When I watched him in that playoff run when they actually went to the Super Bowl, the boy, I was like, okay, he on his way. He definitely on his way.
Mm-hmm.
But when you drop that far down in terms of performance and your ability, that raises a lot of eyebrows in your as far as your organization. Your consistency is very important. We don't want to go ahead and break the bank if we don't know what we're getting from you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what causes, like you said, Willie Jack, that's what causes teams to say, you know what? Instead of banking on this and we don't know if he's going to be consistent or not, let's go ahead and see if what we can get for him. Let's see if we can get a third round pick, a fourth round, whatever you would go out there and try to get, because if you're gonna play like that, we can go find a linebacker in the draft that can play the way that you played this past season. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna find the same athlete. Now that's another thing. Now he is a tremendous athlete. Don't get me wrong. It's not that easy to find an athlete like he is, but to the overall play that he showed, yeah, I can go find it. Right. The Detroit Lions in the 7th round with their last pick of the draft, they found Rodrigo. Like, that boy's nice. You know what I'm saying? So hey man, the teams are looking at it. They're not willing. Teams are not just willing to bring. And I like this part too. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for players getting paid, but teams are a little bit more hesitant to just break the bank on players if you're not really showing that. You know what I'm saying? You about that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and another no, that's a good point. And another part of that as well is also he doesn't pay a position that has a ton of leverage for like middle linebacker isn't a position that's often where you can kind of back into a corner where you kind of got to overpay to keep a guy, because you'll see that
middle linebacker is the running back of defense.
Boom. That's perfectly said. That's perfectly said, Chop. Middle linebacker is the running back of defense. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you want a good one, but you got to be rare form to pay premium dollar. So if that's an excellent analogy, because you know what? Guys at the top of the draft, Fred Warner is middle linebacker's Christian McCaffrey, because he's getting paid, but he does something. He has something that he really offers and excels at that every back can't give you. And so he would be like that. Man, that was an excellent analogy, Chop. Because that really was, because that's exactly it. So some of these guys can get paid, but you have to be a real deal difference maker to really cash in as a middle linebacker, much like you do as well if you're going to be a running back getting paid. You want your stuff today, what?
Just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Don't do too much. I might say something this next time we come around.
Yeah, that was real good.
Yeah, man. But there's your news for today, Willie Jack. That's the news, man. We went through it. We went ahead and talked to y'all about that, man. Went through everything that we saw. You know what I'm saying? But now it's trying to jump into the safeties. But before we do that, of course, Willie Jack, it's about time for you to talk to them, man. Let them know what's going on. Let them know where we at. Let them know where they can find us. Let them know everything you need to let them know so we can move forward with this, dog.
There you go. Without further ado, man, shout out to the sponsorship, man. That's the Three Amigos, man. Y'all know what's going on, man. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's three the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. Now, you can say it with me at home. We say it every week. It's Three Amigos, but it's a 4-part process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. That's just tap in with the Three Amigos, man. Like, share, subscribe. Also, click that subscribe button. Oops, excuse me, I said that. Like, share, and subscribe, man. Become a member and come kick with your fam, man. Wednesday, 7 o'clock. Y'all know how we get down. Then you got to tell a friend. Then you got to tell your friend to tell a friend. Then you got to tell your friend's friend to bring one more because we need folk, man. Bring everybody up here to the penthouse to kick it with your dogs, man. Y'all know what's going on. Kick it real football flavor like we do. And now, back to the regular scheduled program. Let's get it.
All right, Willie Jack. As we talked about at the top of the show, man, we gave y'all that information, man. We jumping into the safeties, man. We jumping into the safeties. And you know what, Willie Jack? I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna say this about the safeties before we jump into it. I know you got your feelings about the safety, but safeties is one of my favorite positions to scout alongside corner too. I like watching corners. But safeties is one of those positions I love to scout because unlike a lot of other positions, safeties are usually not bound to one thing. On a defense, a safety can be doing, it could be blitzing, they could be in coverage, playing man, they could be over the top, you know what I'm saying? They could be playing the a two, they could be over the top playing in the three coverage. They also could be playing coverage underneath. Like there are so many different things that safety can be doing, and there's so many different types of things you can go into when it comes to the evaluations that sometimes it make it a little difficult, but I just love to watch them because a lot of times they can be around the ball, almost as just as much as your middle linebackers or the guys that are really in there doing their thing and can play both sides. So I really like watching the safeties, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off with this one, Willie Jack. With my number 5 safety. And my number 5 safety today, man, is going to be Sidney Brown, man, a safety out of Illinois. Okay. Here's my thing with Sidney Brown, man. Sidney Brown is a tremendous athlete, man. You're talking about full 4 speed, 40-inch vertical. The tools that you can't teach, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like the physical ability, he has those. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's going to bring to your table, you know what I'm saying, which always leaves a door, whether you can open this door or break down this door or not as a coach, you know what I'm saying? That's we'll see. But it always leaves that door for the player to become better or to become special. You know what I'm saying? Because once you have that athletic advantage, if you can bring everything else together, you can become, one of the best at your position. There's always that potential. There's always that ceiling. Your ceiling is higher than your average athlete. You know what I mean? So that's why I like, that's one of the reasons why I liked him. Okay. Now he has more of a compact build. He's a little bit of a thicker build. He is a playmaker in terms of getting to the ball. You know what I'm saying? He had 10 total interceptions. You know what I'm saying? 6 of them came in 2022. So, you know what I'm saying? Where the ball was, he found his way to that ball, man. I like his instincts. I do like the way that I think he has the ability to be a tight end eraser. You know what I'm saying? The ability to stick with a tight end and really take a tight end out of the game. If you, depending on the matchup, of course, depending on who you're going against, but he has that type of ability. He can do that. He also is he comes downhill pretty hard. Now, the one thing I don't like about his game too, sometimes he can be a little out of control. You know what I mean? Sometimes he'll come so hard that he doesn't necessarily break down. He can miss a few tackles, and which you'll see a lot of that on his film. You'll see a lot of missed tackles on his film when you see him, coming downhill trying to get to his to the ball carriers. He's coming so hard, he's coming fast, he doesn't break down. That I think could possibly be coached. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the things, and I feel like if he can do that, if he can bring that together, and also work on his technique and coverage, you know what I'm saying, in terms of flipping his hips and developing a little bit more agility, I think we're talking about a safety who, could become a really good safety in this league, man.
And man, you know what? I'm glad you started there because I've got, man, I say this every week, man, but I really be meaning it. I don't mean to say it every week, but I end up saying it every week. Like, bro, I've got 4 guys I want to put at 4 and 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, or
Right.
honestly 3. But like, I've got a lot of
But
guys.
that's how I fall though, and I'm with you on this one too,
Yeah.
because there was a couple other guys I was looking at too.
Yeah.
But I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
And so, you know what? I'm gonna go Sidney Brown at 5 as well. I'm gonna go Sidney Brown as 5 as well. Like on my line, I've got 2 guys for 5. I'm gonna go with Sidney Brown as well because I like a lot of the things you said, and it's funny because a lot of the like keywords or trigger words you use, or a lot of the words that I got in my notes as well. I'm like, well, this boy Chop, that boy Chop to learn something, man. That boy Chop been paying attention. Because my first line says he's got a compact, kind of thick build. He's solid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
he's built. You know what I mean? He's listed 5'10", 210 or 5'10", 211, something like that. Like I said, does have good speed, good athlete, and honestly, just like you said, my next line says he's a very willing but inconsistent tackler, and I think a lot of the problem is because he is, even though he's got some bulk to him, but he's still, I think he's just like you said. I've got that in my fourth line. He plays a little out of control, and so he's ultra willing. He flies up, but he misses a lot of tackles, and a lot of times it's because he overruns, he over pursues a lot of time as well, and so he's not in a position to actually break down and make the tackle. And then another thing as well, because like I said, he's got good weight on him, but I think he's a little too eager at times to kind of throw his body at a guy and not really try to rapid drive a guy. But that again is because I mean he's only 5'10", and though he's athletic, he's got a 4-inch vertical. But I mean it's a compact 5'10", so it's a dense, and so he tries to run and kind of use his body like a bowling ball at times. But just like you said, the ball production is there. He's got 10 interceptions. He's a guy that gets the ball in his hands and he can make something happen as well. I want to say I know one of the games I saw he ran an interception back for a touchdown. And I want to say, just looking at his stats, I think he has 2 career pick sixes as well. So the ball production is there. I get why they did it. I almost wish they didn't use him as aggressively as they did, like playing so much in the box and playing so much on the line of scrimmage, because I can see why, because with his temperament, he's real aggressive. Yeah. He's not shy to come down there and put his nose in the fence.
Real quick, Willie Jack. Let me pause you there for a second. We got a guy, I'll tell you about him. Compact build, one-eye partners. We call him one of the bros. We call him Jonathan Cooper. We call him Coop.
Cooper Jones. What's the word, my boy?
Coop was a safety. He had like a safety. He played a little bit corner too, but he ain't play like no corner. He played like a safety that all he wanted to do was come downhill, and there was a reason why we're not putting Coop over the top, man, in the free. It's a reason why, Willie Jack, and I think it's similar to the reason why I don't know if we want to put Sidney Brown over the top, man.
Well, and see, that's the thing. Like, I don't want him playing single high at all. Like, I think definitely he's definitely a too high safety. Or if he's gonna be backing, he's being too high. I don't want him playing single high, even though he is athletic, or as far as he has good speed or whatnot. But I don't want him playing single high. But also, like some of those, like they'll put him on the end of the line of scrimmage. And really want him to like set the edge at times, you know what I'm saying? And he just flat out gets ran over, or he just gets dog washed down there. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes they ask him to do a little too much because they got him almost. Sometimes they ask him to do things like he's 6'2", 220. Like he's one of them. Like that style of safety, he may play like that, but he's not. That's not what he is, or he doesn't have the necessarily the size to really live and play around like that. But yeah, man, everything you said though, I it's almost kind of word for word like what I said, man. I think he willing but inconsistent tackler. He takes bad pursuit angles at times. He overruns the play at times. Throws his body instead of rapping and driving at times as well. But like I said, it does have the ball production, man. 10 interceptions is 10 interceptions. You can cut it and slice it and dice it how you want to. Yeah, 10 of them, and most of them came in the last 2 years. I didn't even check to see when they came, but
he had 6 of them. He had 6 of them this past year, dog.
Boom, there you go. Yeah, so yeah, six this year. So hey, there you go. And I know for sure in one of the games I watched, I seen him take one back to the crib as well. And so a guy who's willing. It's one thing to be able, it's another thing to be willing. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys should be able to get 12 rebounds. It's another thing for a guy to go get them 12. You know what I'm saying? And so it's one thing to be able, but he's willing as well. You know what I'm saying? And so if you got a guy willing to do it, then with the type of athlete he is, and just like my dog Chop said, man, you get to that next level. Like I said, there's things that we can improve. We could work on pursuit angles. You know what I'm saying? We could work on getting you to kind of break down. We could work on tackling technique. So those are things we could work on, but you got to be willing to put your nose in the fire first.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It don't matter about it. It don't matter if you ain't willing to get in the ring. I can teach you how to jab all day, but if you ain't ready to get in the ring, then it don't matter. So I agree with you there. And then, like I said, man, his overall ball production can't be sniffed at. You know, so no, I like that you started there, man. So yeah, help me settle my own list. So there we go, Sidney Brown at 5.
Well, since I helped you settle it, man, give me 4 then. Give me your number 4.
So you just gonna run it right back at me, man.
If you need me to go, I can go.
No, because I don't want to follow you around all day.
I mean, I'm gonna lead you to the promised land if you follow. If you follow, I got you. I got broad shoulders, man. I'm used to carrying folks. You know what I'm saying?
You did definitely put some size on. So I'll give you that. My dog. You know what, man? I've got 3 names I want to say for these 2 spots. I'm gonna go with Jair Brown. I'm gonna go with Jair Brown out of Penn State. And so he's 5'11", 23 pounds, what he's listed at. He's a little similar to me to Sidney Brown as far as like their size, and I think they're both aggressive. But he's a free safety. He's an aggressive free safety. I think he's a decent athlete. He also has inconsistencies with his tackling, but why I said he's kind of similar to Sidney Brown in that aspect, because he's willing. You know what I'm saying? He's flying down. He's flying down to put his nose in there. And like I said, now he doesn't always hit the target. You know what I mean? Or he doesn't always, like I said, make the tackle like I want him to. And then also, I think a lot of it also is because he's a thicker guy. He's 5'11", 200, right around 205 pounds isn't small. But when those style of guys, if you're an aggressive style of guy, that's still a little undersized, you get a little bit of that Bob Sanders mentality where you got to like kind of fly and you got to throw all 205 at these guys. You know what I mean? And so what ends up happening is they're over aggressive in their pursuit, and so they overrun plays or they take. I think he overruns plays, and they also help assist in him being such an inconsistent tackler. But I do think he has enough range to actually be single high over the top. But like I said, but he's not the athlete that Sidney Brown is. But I think the way he's used, like he plays more traditional over the top coverage and free, whereas I think Sidney Brown is more kind of like you said, because there's a lot of snaps where he does a lot in the box, he does a lot even on the line of scrimmage at times, and those sort of things. And I think Jair Brown plays more he plays closer to more traditional free duties, where more times than not he is going to be 15 yards in the backfield when he's making his plays, and then but he's like I said, he's not afraid to come up, fill an alley, and throw his body in the mix as well. He does come up and get some box on some line of scrimmage love as well, but I think he does play more traditionally kind of back on the backside. But I felt like he doesn't have the ball production of Sidney Brown, but I felt like his tackling was more consistent. And like I said, I think he offers a little more as far as I don't feel good with Sidney Brown. I don't feel good if Sidney Brown's got to just be my single high guy over the top. That worries me. That scares me. I think Jair Brown, while I don't want to just leave him back there, but I think if we need to change it up, if we need to change the look, I think he can stay back there if I need him to. But he's still another guy, man, where I still don't feel. I feel better with him being the free safety in a team that stays more too high than they do single. But I do think he's more of the free safety model as opposed to Sidney Brown playing more so strong.
For sure. And I looked at Jair Brown, man. Jair didn't quite make my list. But he, like you said, he was one of those guys that was in the conversation. I think for me, the reason why I didn't have him there is when I looked at him, I saw that he could be manipulated a little too easy in terms of his coverage.
He's aggressive for sure.
Yeah, and it's like his eagerness to want to make plays sometimes can get the best of him, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I see the quarterback over here. He looking this way. He even ready to throw this ball. I'm going to go get this interception. And then quarterback simply just comes back the other way, comes back to the other side of the field. Now he's out of position, you know, and it leaves the window for him to complete that pass. So,
bro, I'm so glad you said that. That just kind of like we said with Sidney Brown, that's the thing where I'm hoping he gets coached up. Because I want to tell my dogs to calm down. I want to tell my dogs to sit. You know what I'm saying? And
You
so just
absolutely
like
right. I'm with you.
yeah,
If I gotta tell you to sick him, then we got another problem. That's a different type of problem.
exactly. Yeah. So just like you said, like he's a guy I'm thinking, okay, he gets somewhere, he's going to the next level, he's going to get better coaching, you know, and it's full time football. You know what I'm saying? So he's the guy that I'm thinking, okay, let's take those things he does well, let's hone those, and now instead of just being a loose cannon, now he's a homing missile. You know what I'm saying? And then I think he's a guy that, like I say, he's eager to get out there and make a play. And like I say, now we just got to coach him up and make sure he's in the right area to make that play.
For sure. For sure. All right, Willie Jack. On to my number 4, man. My number 4, man, I went with the guy out of Texas A&M, man. I went with Antonio Johnson, man. Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M, man. He came in with solid size, man. 6'2", almost 200 pounds, sitting at 198. A long safety with big strides. A lot of people had him a little bit higher on the list, but I'll break it down for you. I'll let you know why I kind of got him here. So he's a good straight line athlete. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you watch him and watch his burst, his explosion, and his acceleration, you know what I'm saying, from A to B, it's nice, like none other. He likes to get physical and mix it up in the trenches, you know what I'm saying, in traffic. His first instinct, like a lot of the safeties actually that we'll be talking about, or that we have talked about so far. His first instinct is to come downhill, man. He comes downhill, and when he gets there, man, he likes to put it on you. You know what I'm saying? He likes to let you know that I'm here. You know what I'm saying? He want to meet you face to face, you know, nose to nose. That's exactly how he likes to meet you. He does a good job of maneuvering through traffic to get to ball carries as well. That's one of the things I really liked about him that stood out the most, was even when he had to take on big offensive tackles and offensive linemen, he did a good job of maneuvering, and it was almost like, it's some people it's like, oh man, this is coming, I don't know what to do. All right, I'm gonna contact them, you know what I'm saying, and then he'll block me, whatever it is. For him, it's like, okay, he has a strategy. He's done this before. I know how to maneuver. He has a plan in his head, to me, on how I'm gonna get around this block from this offensive tackle. And a lot of times he's able to maneuver or weave through that traffic to make his way to that ball carrier. I really love that about him. He does a good job of that. Now, he is also a person that he'll get caught sleeping, you know what I'm saying, with his eye discipline at times. You know what I'm saying? You'll see him, he'll see something, he'll jump forward, but we all know, if we all played football before, one false step could turn into a touchdown. You know, so you take one wrong move, that move can turn an incomplete pass or pass deflected into a 40-yard gain down the field. Now you got a big play. Now they in field goal range, and that changes the game. How many times have we seen that? You know what I'm saying? Fourth quarter, a minute left. You know what I'm saying? With some of these top quarterbacks with the ball in their hands, you can't make those type of mistakes in big games. You know what I'm saying? But that's coachable. I think you can coach that, you know what I'm saying, and get them used to, you know, doing those type of things. I think he also can be fooled with receivers coming across his face. I forgot who was against. It was a receiver where they did. They had well, first off, the quarterback had a lot of time, but they ran like a post in front of him. He bit on the post, but they had like a skinny post behind him, you know what I'm saying, that was over his head, that went for a touchdown. And which he got his eyes caught, you know what I'm saying, on that safety coming across, instead of being disciplined and continuing to work his way deep. But those are the type of things that are the reason why I got him, you know, towards the back. And then his lack of agility. Like I said, he has the straight line, you know what I'm saying? He has a straight line athletic ability, but when it comes to maneuvering, and well, not maneuvering, because I talked about maneuver, but his agility and the ability to break down and tackle people in the open field, that's why I think he struggles with. And as a safety, man, I mean, you watch football long enough, you're gonna see safeties having to make tackles in the open field all day long. You know what I'm saying? So those are the areas I think he struggles in, but I still do like him as a safety. I think he has tremendous ability. He has a lot of length, and he can be a solid safety if, you know, once coached up and, you know, in the right situation.
Nah, for sure. Is it?
Yeah,
Help me. Is it on you for 3 or is it on me?
No, it's on me. It's right back. I'm back to back. I ain't know if you was gonna give me a little bit after that.
Okay, no, I got you. Well, and honestly,
you probably got him on. Well, you may have. I don't know if you got him, but
no, and honestly, he's well. Yeah, I can go ahead and talk about him because we on. So he's going to be my number 3 guy, and so, but honestly, I'm telling y'all what, man. If y'all don't listen to nothing else I told y'all, man, let Chop be the example. All right, All right, let Chop be the example because the boy been listening for about 2 years now. He's starting to sound like me because I'm telling you, it feels like Chop was reading my paper.
Don't let
6'2".
anybody that's out here listening right now. Don't let this boy fool you, man. It's DB talking, man. I know DB stuff when we
I
talk.
ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, go ahead, do your thing. Do
But
your
I
thing.
ain't gonna lie. Yeah, Chop showing his work on his safety list, boy. I'm telling you, it feel like reading my paper. I got him in number 3, and it's for a lot of the reasons that Chop just said. He's 6'2", 198, so he's got good size, he's got very good height, and honestly, that 198, it's a lean 198 or 198, 195. He can be 205. You know what I'm saying? And in 2 years, I think he probably will be 205. And so looking ahead to so if this is where he's starting, so I've got long lean. He's got a lean, long, strong safety build. Now, same thing. My very next line, just like you said, he's an inconsistent tackler in space, and sometimes I feel like I say this. I've said this on every guy so far, but I think he I don't like his lateral pursuit angles. You know what I'm saying? Like I think sometimes he doesn't. I like when he's just coming straight downhill. I think he does fit and he can go down there and you know and make a play, make a hit. But when he's pursuing laterally, or like I said, if he's just in space because he just like I said with those taller kind of leaner, taller, longer guys, they don't break down and move as well or as nicely as the more agile, more compact built guys. And so tackling in space can be troublesome for him as well. But why I got him a little higher than you is I think I think he's a viable man. He offers viable man cover ability as a safety. Like I think he legitimately, and it is a little straight line. So I love watching him break when he has to break. Like if he's playing like a soft zone, if you run like a 8 yard out or 8 yard in or something like that, especially if he gets to just plant his foot and break and go, that he can plant and break flat, break right there at a 90 and really stay in your hip and stay on the guy. And so I think he does offer a lot. He offers a lot as an actual safety, strong safety with that type of size that can actually legitimately cover. And I think that's something that's going to get better, like I said, going into this next level. And so I'm thinking of the league these days. The most dangerous weapons on most people's teams is the guy who is a mismatch in the middle of the field. So that's your Travis Kelce's, your Mark Andrews, your George Kittles. That's also your Cooper Kupps, your Devontae Adams, your Justin Jeffersons. Like these guys that now he's not going to lock down or shut down one of these guys. But what I'm saying is he's a guy that in a pinch, he may not all think about a way that we see Derwin James. Now he's not Derwin James. I don't want to go there, but I imagine. But I'm saying like because Derwin James gets roasted, gets done up. You know what I'm saying when he's guarding Kelsey as well, and so it is what it is. But the point of it is that his game and his size allows him to even be. The coach will even allow him to be in that position because he's got that type of size where he's not just going to get little Boyd. You know what I'm saying? He's just not going to get little Boyd right out the gate. You know what I mean? And he can cover. You know what I'm saying? And so I like those. I like those things about him. And then like a lot of the other stuff, man. Like with a lot of these guys, like working on his pursuit, break it down in space. And then like I said, I still think he's got room to get a little bigger, a little stronger as well. And so that's why I had him at 3, a little higher than you did.
Okay. Gotcha. I'm with you there. Well, let me come on back with my 3 then. I'm gonna go 3-2 then, Willie Jack. I'm gonna go 3-2. All right. And my number 3 guy, man, I went with the guy out of Florida State, man. Florida State. I really like some Jamie Robinson, man. I like some Jamie Robinson, man. He is another, I guess you could say shorter. Well, he wasn't really super short, but like a thicker build. I guess you could say a similar build to Sidney Brown. Like I said, built solid safety, man, with a great change of direction and instincts. You know what I'm saying? When I watch him, it was his ability to see a play and go get a play that it kind of attracted me to him. That made me feel like, all right, man, I kind of like what I'm seeing when it comes to this guy. I like his the ability that he brings. And it's not just one specific thing that he's good at. I think he's one of the more versatile safeties. Now, he's not one of the safeties that does anything at a tremendous level, but I think he is one of the more versatile safeties in this particular draft. Like I said, once he sees it, he goes to get it. I think he has great agility that puts him in position to break down in the open field against ball carriers. You don't see too many people breaking tackles with him. When he lines you up, and that's pretty much it. And I think it's part of his ability where he has that low center of gravity and allows him to move back and forth and change directions very easily, put his foot in the ground without losing any footing or anything like that. Keep a good balance and make those tackles. I really love that about him. You know what I mean? He's the type of safety that's going to be around the ball a lot. You know what I mean? Now, the thing with me, just like you talked about with Sidney Brown in terms of the way they use him, I didn't like the fact that they used Jamie Robinson almost like a stacked linebacker at times. You know what I mean? He was standing there, and it's not like he's the fourth guy or third guy coming up, in that stacked position or on the edge. It would be like it would be almost looking at like a Devin White and a Levante Davis sitting next to each other as stacked linebackers to handle that and handle those positions. As if he was a real linebacker. I didn't like the way that they used him in that way as sometimes, but I do like the fact that he was willing to do it and he was making plays. You know what I'm saying? He was able to maneuver his way and find his way to the ball and make plays from that position. So I mean, he was able to do it, whether I like it or not, you know what I'm saying? They the ones had him on their team, and they the ones decided to do that with him. So you'll see that a lot. But overall, I think he's, like I said, one of the more versatile safeties in this draft, and I really, really like what he brings to the table. And that was the reason why actually I was going back and forth between him and Antonio Johnson, Willie Jack, in terms of where I wanted to put him. But because he's a little bit more versatile, and I like his ability in terms of his change of direction and things like that, which I think is huge in playing a position like safety. The guys that you're going to run up against for the most part is going to have a lot of change of direction. That's what they're going to use to try to get open, make plays and stuff like that. Because he's a very good at that and a very good tackler, that was the reason why I put him a spot above Antonio Johnson.
No, and I'm glad he made your list. He just missed my list, and honestly, because I thought I was surprised to see because I saw he's listed at 5'11", 191.
It
And I
didn't look
was
like it on
surprised,
film. It
huh?
didn't look like it. It didn't look like it on film.
He looks small. He looks small to me. And so, and then it's another thing as well, because him and Sidney Brown, I was looking at him and Sidney Brown. Well, I was like four guys. I'm telling you, I was looking at for like 4 and 5, but they all the same. You know what I mean? To me, you are the same. I could have won with any of these names, but he just missed because he's the 20 pounds that Sidney Brown has on him. Because Sidney Brown is the same height. One's listed 5'11", one's listed 5'10". Sidney Brown's 211, and I see it. I see the 20 pounds from Sidney Brown to Jamie Robinson. And then just like I said with Sidney Brown, where I didn't necessarily like that they put him in positions to be they used him like he's JL Skinner sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They used him like a guy who's like Adrian Wilson from back in the days with the Cardinals. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say well, you know what? An easier reference.
Adrian Wilson. Oh man, see, you know what, Willie Jack? I thought about Adrian Wilson like last week, and I was like, man, people don't give him enough credit. I was getting ready to make a post about Adrian Wilson.
He was the first Cam
The
Chancellor.
boy was nice. That boy was
Bro,
nice. I
that
didn't like seeing him 2 times a year. That was when we were around the time we had Steven Jackson, man. Steven Jackson had dealing with Adrian Wilson, man.
No, I was a fan. No, I definitely was a fan of Adrian Wilson as well. And like I saad, a guy that kind of gets slept on or overlooked a little bit, but nah, boy, was a real live thumper, boy. Will come through and rearrange your face. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But Jamie Robinson, for me, like, I feel like, because I watched their films kind of close as well. I don't know if there was a guy in between Jamie Robinson and Sidney, or maybe I went back to back, but I feel like the 20 pounds that Sidney Brown has on Jamie Robinson shows up. Because Jamie Robinson, like I said, they put him in those positions, and I feel like he got tossed around. Like, I feel like he really got like out physical, and not that he's not willing, but he just didn't have enough ass in the tank, man. You know what I'm saying? He was just a little light in pants in some of those instances. And also another thing about him as well, why I just think he missed it, he's not the athlete that Sidney Brown is. So I think Sidney Brown, like Jamie Robinson is definitely, he's one of those guys that's to the T. He's way more quicker than he is fast. Because he's definitely quick. Change rates and thing you said, but I think his long speed, I think his long speed kind of gets exposed at times. Another thing as well that I thought, here's the thing that I thought was different about Antonio Johnson and Jamie Robinson when they ran man coverage. I really like Antonio Johnson when he puts his foot in the ground and breaks left or breaks right. Like I said, I don't know why it was. I feel like when I just love seeing him, he breaks at 90. Like, he breaks at a sharp angle. And I felt like Jamie Robinson had the banana. You know what I'm saying? Like, when he puts his foot in the ground, it's a little choppy. and then he kind of bows or bananas over, and so he gives more. The receiver gets a little more separation when he's coming to close some of those like outbreaking routes or whatever the case. But like I said, I could be being a little critical, but he's not. He's the size of Sidney Brown. He's the height of Sidney Brown. He's not as fast. He's 20 pounds lighter. And so even though both of them kind of that's why those are the things that held me back from putting him in my five. But I'm not mad at you for putting him in your five because like I said, like all these he could have if he would have made my spot, if he would have made my list, he was gonna be 5 or 4. But I think like I said, I went the bigger, heavier, faster athlete in Sidney Brown instead, and that's why he just missed my list. But no, but I like this. I like there was a lot to like there as well, though, honestly.
I got you. I ain't mad at you, bro. I ain't mad at you. All right, on to my number 2, man. I'm on to my number 2, and it's a guy you just mentioned, man. I'm going with J.L. Skinner, man. I really like some J.L. Skinner, man. Came in at the combine. He weighed in at 6. I mean, he tapped in the combine. He was 6'4", weighed in at 209, which people felt like he was a little bigger. I guess he was listed at 220.
No, they say he lost weight. They say he played closer to 220.
Okay. If he played 220, that makes sense then because that's what I saw on film. I saw a 6'4", 220 safety. You know what I mean? I really love some J.L. Skinner, man. And first off, don't take this the wrong way because I'm not saying that he covers like it. But when I watch him, man, and you look at just like a long guy that is breaking up balls and doing all these different things, man. I don't know why I saw, and this is a corner. I saw Sauce. I saw Sauce. Look, I'm gonna tell you why, man. I'm gonna tell you why. Not saying that he is that type of player. He's not that type of player. That's not what he does. You know what I'm saying? That's not what that's not what he's good at. Sauce, we know what Sauce is, man. Sauce is locked down. But what I'm gonna say is he's a long rangey safety, and you see the length. When I watch Sauce, you see the length. Like that's something that you see, and it jumps off when you look at the tape in terms of when he's in coverage and stuff like that. Is the length of Sauce. Sauce isn't like and I don't want us to turn into a Sauce breakdown because we broke him down last year. We talked about him, so we went through our corners and stuff like that. But that's like I said, that's just one of the things that jumps off the tape when you watch him. And of course, that's something that jumps off the tape when you watch this J.L. Skinner kid. Okay, he has great reads. A part of being a great safety is being able to read, being able to sit and read and react. And I think he does that amongst the best safeties in this draft. If he sits, he can read it. Once he reads it, he's another safety that'll go and he'll make a play. With his length, also gives him the ability to make throws that much tougher on quarterbacks and positions. Now, he's not your free. We know that. He's not a free guy. He's a strong guy, strong safety in the box. You know what I'm saying? Those type of deals. Even a guy that you may even want to, match up with a tight end and could smother a guy. That's the type of size that he has. Has great anticipation on plays and good ability, like I said, to go break up passes. Great ball skills. You know what I'm saying? You watch him, he's always around the ball, you know what I'm saying? And if you throw it in his direction, if you off just a hair, with the guy that tall, if you off just a hair, he'll make you pay for it. You know what I mean? As far as against the run, he'll come up, he'll fit in perfectly, man. Come in, make his tackles. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't bring as much as you would think he would or think he's supposed to when he comes up to make his tackles. But he's there, he's making those tackles. And that was one thing I always used to say. You can ask Willie Jack, man, when I played, man. A guy might lower his shoulder on me. He may even get a hand right here, but I guarantee he get to the ground.
Oh, he going down though. Hey, he going down.
Yeah. You can get you a hand right here. Get you a good one. You know what I'm saying? Make sure your hand right there. It's all good on my face mask. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody take a picture, it looked like I might be doing still, but I guarantee you ain't getting another yard, bro. You going down right where you at.
Jeremy Boyce with the tackle on the play. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jeremy Boyce with the tackle on the play. That's for sure.
Every rip, man. But that's the type of guy that I think he is. And with his skill set, I think that if this makes sense to you, Willie Jack, he's not just one type of guy in the box. I think that he can be versatile in the box as terms of a strong safety. There's certain guys where it's like, all right, I only can do this with him. I think you can only play him as strong safety, but I think he's versatile as a strong safety, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So, JL Skinner, man, I like him, man. I like his game, I like what he brings to the table, man. So that's why I got him my number 2 spot.
I'm glad you got him on your list as well. I've got a list where he's 3. I didn't have him 2. I've got a list where he's 3. On this one, I end up going Antonio Johnson in my 3 instead of J.L. Skinner in my 3, and so he's not even gonna get listed. But I'm glad he's on your list. So we can talk about him because I like a lot of things you talked about him as well. He's tall, and even they say he played at 220. It still looked lean. Like it
Yeah,
didn't look
yeah,
bulky. Like 6'4", 220, you know what I mean? He carried it extremely well. So then even to see that he leaned out at the combine, probably try to be faster. So he leans down to 210. But like I say, he's got really good speed, really good size, excellent size, tremendous size. Like I said, 6'4", so there's not many guys just that big playing the position. Definitely a downhill strong safety. Now this is why when I finalized my 5 for the show, like I said, he could have been 3, 4, or 5. You know what I'm saying? Just the way it failed, it failed. He at time, and then also because Antonio Johnson was the other guy that's kind of got exceptional size at 6'2" plus and somewhere around 200 pounds. And so, but I think he's heavy footed. That's what I want to say. Like I feel like at times I feel like he can be a little like he can be. Sometimes I feel like he's got some concrete boots. He's got to kind of got build up. He's a strider as well, and so things that can happen in a short area can sometimes get to him. Well, no, I shouldn't say that because he makes plays on the ball when if it's right there in his area, just like Chop said, because he's got length and some he's got he's got some burst, but he doesn't necessarily have range. I think he's kind of got to be protected or guarded in a sense because he's limited to the area that he could be effective in because and one of the guys, and this is the game I'll point out. They play the Oregon State game. Oregon State's got an NFL tight end, Luke Musgrave, and I don't know if he stuck him all night. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as just his cover, like just he just ran away from him. He just couldn't stay with him. And now Luke Musgrave, like I said, he's a guy who's getting second round buzz, like definitely like a second round buzz, and he's the guy that's projected to in 3 years he may make the kind of ascent like a Mark Andrews. Now I'm not saying he's Mark Andrews, but I'm saying Mark Andrews coming out was a third round tight end. He was the second tight end that the Ravens even drafted. They drafted a guy in the first round, came back and got him in the third. But he's the guy that ended up developing, taking off. So Luke Musgrave may be on that type of trajectory where he goes second or maybe third round, but he's 6'6", he's 250, he runs pretty well, he's got hands, etc. But he couldn't keep up with him. But also, like I say, in that same game, I want to say he had an interception that game off another play where they run like an 8-yard out, and I know what it was. He was sitting in like a robber zone, and it might have been some type of match concept because there's a crosser that crosses face and he runs with him, even though he was sitting in like a short middle zone, runs with him, and just like my dog Chop said, he's got that style of length where ball was back shoulder instead of front shoulder, and so I don't know if he tipped it to himself or maybe the receiver put his hands back to catch his tip. Anyway, he gets an interception. You know what I mean? So he does make plays on the ball, but like I said, I think his and also another thing as well with his long speed, where they did have him playing like a deep coverage, and he just couldn't get over the top. I want to say it may have also still been that Oregon game, and then like there's a play where guy breaks loose. He's the deep safety on that side, and he's chasing the guy up the right sideline. Probably took him 30 yards with an angle to get this guy. You know what I'm saying? He gets his long speed gets a little exposed, and I think sometimes he's a little heavy footed. But all that said, I really did like or enjoy watching his film as well. Like I said, he didn't make my list now, but I've got lists where he's as high as 3. And so, and it's because of a lot of things you said. So I'm glad he made your list. We can still talk to him and show him some love for sure.
Gotcha. All right, Willie Jack, what's your 2?
All right, so this one, man, is I think I'm way higher on this guy than probably I've seen like anywhere else, and I'll tell you why. I'm gonna preface it because he just does his job. He's consistent. He's the guy that I felt was the most just kind of overall consistent. If I'm just talking, just be safe, just line up and play safety. Don't do anything. He may not do anything great, but he's not going to do anything
wrong.
bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I went with Jordan Battle out of Alabama.
Mm.
And I'll tell you, he's 6'1", he's 210, 6'1", 209. So he's got NFL size. I mean, that's great size. Similar size to Antonio Johnson, I think, who's 6'2", 200. So he's a little heavier. But the thing about him as well, he's patient to the point of being passive. And so his style of play isn't even. I want a rabbit dog that's choking himself to get out the chain. That's generally the type I'd rather
That's what
treat
you
that
want.
way.
That's what Willie Jack want.
It really is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have to like hold you back so you don't chew somebody's face off. He's not that type of guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he's definitely a free safety. He's a solid 2-eye free safety. I think he's smooth. Like I put, he doesn't have real edge or aggression in his game. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said, like, he almost plays a little passive. But the next line I put is he's a solid do his job defender. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily think he's an impact player. Like, I don't necessarily think he's going to be the guy that makes the play that turns the game. Now he can. He had a big interception. That he ran for a pick six against Georgia. It was 2021 Georgia film where he's sitting in like I don't know if it was a soft, it was like an inverted two, and so the corner is actually going to take the deep half, and then he looks like he looks like there, and he jumps into a rapper zone and steps in front of the number 3 receiver, I think, and then it's a pick six for like 40 yards, and so he can make a play when the play is there to be made, but necessarily he's not Troy Polamalu. He's not going to be supposed to be covering the right deep third, and then he makes a play on the short left out route. You know, he's not an impact player where he's not going to be where he's not supposed to be, but he's going to be where he actually he's going to do his job. He put me in the mind of Adrian Amos. And so Adrian Amos was a safety. He was with got drafted by the Bears, had like 3 or 4 good years there. Then he went to the Packers. And then his time in the Packers really didn't amount much. I don't even know if he played football last year. But for like a 4 or 5 year stretch there, and he was the guy as well, Adrian Amos, PFF loved him because he just didn't mess up. Like, he just didn't make bad plays. Like, he may not, like, if you're looking at highlights, he might not even make the highlight package, but he just doesn't grade negative. I just felt like he was just a steady, consistent, just, I need you to be here, he's there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even liked his tackling. Like I say, he's not booming nobody. He's not coming down thumping nobody, but I felt like he was a more of a consistent tackler, especially because that was a part of the gripes I had on a lot of these other guys, Sidney Brown, Antonio Johnson, just everybody I've talked about so far. I felt like they were inconsistent tacklers. They overrun plays. They took bad angles. I think he fundamentally plays just at a baseline, just good level. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not gonna get too high. There's not gonna be too many A plays, but it's gonna be a shitload of C plus and B minus plays all game long. You know what I mean? And so I end up in this final mix, man. I ended up putting him at the 2 spot.
Got you. And I like that name, Willie Jack. I'm a little surprised because Willie Jack normally don't go the conservative route. You know what I'm saying?
I'm telling you.
I'm definitely a little surprised, and I do agree with a lot of what you said. But that was the reason why I didn't put him on my list. It was because a guy like that is the perfect robber to Superman. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, if you got an Ed Reed, you just need the other safety to just do what you're supposed to do, bro.
Just do what you're supposed to do. Exactly.
Just be here and let Ed Reed be great. You know what I'm saying? Or you just be over the top. Let Troy Polamalu play down there and do his thing. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right, bro.
You know what I'm saying? So he's that type of safety, which those players, don't get me wrong, are very, very valuable when you're putting together a championship roster. You know what I'm saying? Every team has to have those guys. You know what I'm saying? Every guy can't be a Jordan, a LeBron, a Kobe. You know what I'm saying? Your main guy.
Somebody's got to rebound. Somebody's got to be robbing.
Exactly. Somebody's got to be robbing. Somebody's got to do the dirty work on defense. Somebody's got to, you know what I'm saying? So a guy that knows his role is, you know what? Those players are always the coach's favorite player. You know what I'm saying? It's the guy. I know for a fact he's gonna do his job. He's gonna be where he's supposed to be. That is the Bill Belichick do your job player right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
exactly right, bro.
That's exactly who it is. But that's also the reason why I didn't put him on my list, because Not that he's not going to be valuable. I think he is going to be valuable because of those reasons, but also because I think the other guys, even though they have some negatives here and negatives there, the positives could put them in position, or if they land in the right spot, could put them in position to be, to where their ceiling or their impact on the game can be greater, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So that's why he didn't quite make my list, but I agree with a lot with pretty much everything that you said with the Jaguars.
No, exactly right. And then I roll into my one.
Yeah, you roll into your one, and if we got the same one, we might as well go and talk about it together. So
Okay. Well, let me start first. So Brian Branch is who I got at number one. But honestly, I was a little underwhelmed. Brian Branch in the safety. Brian Branch in the safety. There was two safeties on Alabama roster. One of them's name was Jordan Battle. The other one, number like with 2 or something. He's a slot cornerback. You know what I'm saying? He's a slot cornerback. He's not a safety, or he didn't play safety. So they're projecting him to transition to safety. And honestly, calling him a safety probably saves this safety class, because I don't think there's anybody that's going to sniff the first round out of the group of guys we've talked about. And man, I don't know if I've got some type of inherent like Alabama dislike. I kind of do. You know what I'm saying? It's the college Patriots. So that's only so much far I go. But he's a slot corner that blurs the line of strong safety. He excels as kind of he's the extra defender. So like he's the box line of scrimmage almost kind of freelancer. And he's got good timing. He's got good burst. He's got good want to. You know what I'm saying? When they use him a lot to blitz and do a lot of things, he's definitely like a grab and drag tackler, because he's not a big guy. He's not hammering nobody. He's listed 6 foot 190. But I think his lack of speed shows up, which is why I think he's moving why he's being projected to a corner, because I think his lack of long speed shows up. Now, Jalen Hyatt in Tennessee, I think put 2 touchdowns on the board against Brian Branch, and then there was another touchdown that I can't remember if he dropped it or if it was a little overthrown from Hendon Hooker, but Jalen Hyatt had a day, and I guess in that game, with Brian Branch and what he does offer, and I think Saban went out there and put a little too much on Brian Branch's plate, but he got honey roasted every which way for Sunday you can get torched in that game, trying to keep up with him, but he does struggle trying to like carry long speed up the field. And not just that game though. He got burned in that Texas game. I think is it number 6? I think in that Texas game, took him up top for a deep 50, 60-yard touchdown. Yeah, there you go. Like Worthy or something like that, I think. Yeah. Tennessee hit him big of more than a few times, and then also Auburn. I watched the Auburn game as well, and I don't even know that kid's name, but he got taken up top. Like I say, his lack of long speed shows up. Like I say, when you're just asking him to just play with and stick and take these guys up the field, he just can't keep up. It's gonna sound a little critical, but I know my dog. I'm assuming my dog got him number 1, and so I'll be bad cop and let my dog play good tops. I know he's gonna have some good stuff.
Okay, we can work.
Because there's good stuff there as well, but I'll attack the negative so that way you can feed it to the positive. I felt the same way from what I'm about to say the same thing that I said about Will Anderson. It's not that he's not lazy. He doesn't have bad effort, but I wouldn't call him high motor. Like I didn't always like his backside pursuit. You know what I mean? Like whether or not you're gonna get there, I want you to haul ass like you are. You know what I'm saying? Like there was just times where I felt like, you know what I'm saying, like he wasn't determined to get in on the tackle. He's like, I want a guy that wants to if I just gotta jump on the pile as we escort him out of bounds, I want to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of like when you say high motor, that's what I think of. Because everybody's going to try to make a play with balls in front of you. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying he's loafing or just not doing anything like that. But I'm talking about it's a different type of guy that, like I said, that plays away. I've got a 1 in 5 chance to get there and put my hand on the pile. Shit, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't always feel like I've seen that. But let me see what else I want to say here. Okay, so he understands leverage. That's a big thing because a lot of these guys, and like I said, with Sidney Brown, with Antonio Johnson, with Jair Alexander, like they over pursued plays or they didn't necessarily always play to the correct leverage, and so he's got a good handle or a good understanding of leverage, which goes to his coaching, and that's why I felt the same way about Jordan Battle. Is that like I said, like I can see that they've taken to good coaching because they play with a lot of more of the fundamental discipline that some of these other guys that we've mentioned don't play with, and honestly, that's another reason why I end up going Jordan Battle at 2 because these guys, that some of these other guys have so many things that are real, just like holes fundamentally that he just didn't have them, and it ended up boosting them up my list a little bit. But anyway, he also here's another thing as well. So since he's limited with his speed, he can get a little grabby at the top of these routes. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't have the speed to necessarily keep up with a lot of these guys. When if it's an intermediate to deep route and you're gonna break and go away, he's got to kind of grab to slow you down or even propel himself because he just can't run with you. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't. He's not able to just run with a lot of these guys that really give him true speed. Nothing as well, man. And also it could be what he's been asked to do or what they're telling him. I feel like he used like a hop shuffle as opposed to like a true pedal. Did you see that? Like I don't feel like I don't really feel like I don't know if he's just not comfortable or maybe it could be because he knows he lacks long speed because he ran like mid 4.6. You know what I'm saying? Which is why the people were talking about him being a top 10 pick before the process started, and he gets to the combine, tests like an average athlete. And now he's the bottom of the first or maybe even top of the second guy and I think that shows up. And so he kind of uses like a hop or a shuffle. And I think it's because he can't just his stop, start, go and to run and carry you is lacking there. But like I said, now I took a lot of the bad, man. I'll talk to my dog, man, because there's a lot of good there as well. But that's
Okay.
so he was the number one guy. But honestly, man, I wasn't blown away. I wasn't blown away at all, especially because I didn't see there wasn't safety film. I watched the slot cornerback. You know what I'm saying? I watched the slot cornerback, and we're gonna call him safety because we expect him to move there.
For sure, and I actually understand where you're coming from with a lot of everything that with everything that you said, Willie Jack. In terms of his skill set, first and foremost, he is an average athlete. He's an average athlete. He's not a guy like Sidney Brown that tested really good numbers, 40-inch vertical, nothing like that.
If
Everything
he was
he's
the
done,
athlete Sidney Brown is, he's a top 10 guy. If he was the athlete Sidney Brown is, because he's going to Philly at 10. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
But yeah.
But for sure, I'm definitely with you there. But what I'll say about him is this. He was difficult. First off, I think he's good. I think he's a good safety. All right. But the thing that makes him hard to evaluate is the fact that okay, all right, you 190, 6 foot 190 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So and you not bringing it in the run game and getting off of these blocks like a big safety.
I'm glad you said that. I almost said it. I did.
But you also not running all the way down the field, you know what I'm saying, with these faster wide receivers, you know what I'm saying? So you kind of stuck in it almost feel like he's stuck in no man's land.
Exactly,
But
bro.
like you said, Willie Jack, he does have some good qualities, and I'll go through some of these. All right. So, like I said, smaller frame for sure. I do think what you even with the things that we said, I do think he's the best tackling safety in the draft. And I'm not talking about him bringing the boom and all these different things. I'm talking about he doesn't miss a lot of tackles.
Exactly. Yeah.
He may have missed 4 tackles, during his college career, just 4. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that says a lot about him. Has great playmaking instincts in terms of reading and plays. He's very, very disciplined, I believe. You know what I'm saying? In terms of his eyes, he has good eyes. You'll rarely see him get caught up in play action, or anything like that. He's very, very disciplined in terms of that. His eyes is always looking for like the crossing routes and things like that. So there's avenues for him to be great. You know what I'm saying? Because although you're not going to man him up, he can play a little bit of zone and be disciplined with his eyes, see a play, and go get it. Because playing a little bit of zone, he doesn't necessarily have to be able to keep up with the guy that can run a 4.3 or a 4.4. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to run all the way down the field with a guy like that. He doesn't necessarily have to, beat off of a block against a tight end on every single play. But when it comes to those passing plays, those plays that really count, those 3rd and 8s, those 3rd and 6s, where it's of course it's a pass play, and a lot of times they're looking to get to the sticks. I think he'll play a very valuable role there. You could probably see a lot of pass deflections from him. You know what I'm saying, in terms of that, and maybe even him having an opportunity to pick some balls off. I think that's where you'll get your money's worth in terms of him. As I said before, he's not overly physical in terms of defeating blockers. I don't know, when I watched this film, and that's why I mentioned tight ends. I didn't even mention tackles. When you're a safety in the box, it's gonna be some times we're gonna be going to get some tackles. And you have to defeat that block. But it was tight ends. Once they get their hands on him, he was done deal. You know what I'm saying? He was dead meat. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't getting off those blocks making those plays. You know what I'm saying? He's the type of guy I would prefer for him to play in space. That's just it. Play in space, solid in coverage. You know what I'm saying? He does a good job of staying square and not panicking when receivers, start to break into his leverage. So as long as he can keep things in front of him, I think he'll be he could be a great safety. You know what I'm saying? And make a lot of plays within that 6 to 12 yard range.
That's perfect.
Safety. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I think, can be great and be very, very valuable. Like I said, in those specific 3rd down situations or passing situations, I think can be great. But he does have a lot of those holes in this game.
No, and I'm glad you said that, because I found another thing I was going to say, but I was like, I went too hard on my way. I let it go. But you hit it. I said he understands leverage, but he doesn't have the play strength to actually, like I said, I call it like closing the door. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you not only come up, you're in the right place, you engage, but now you've got to make a play. Now you've got to do something with that tackle or find a way to get off of him, shed or do something, and then actually like make that tackle, just like I said. But he just doesn't have the play strength to do that.
He
Just
plays
like
around too long. He plays around with his blockers too long.
But that's just lack of play strength. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, he is a smaller guy in the grand scheme. But then another thing you said as well, like I put down, like I was like, okay, what's his role? You know what I'm saying? Because I put he needs to be a dedicated underneath zone defender and blitzer. Because I do like him blitzing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's got good timing and burst, and you know what I'm saying? And he's got a good temperament for it. And so, but I think just like you said, 6 to 12 yards, he's a dedicated underneath zone defender. And so, and he needs to be in a scheme that's going to let him move around and blitz as well. He's Mike Hilton. He's Mike Hilton, a small slot corner who's an excellent blitzer, excellent tackler, but he does have limits in his coverage ability.
For sure.
Because he's just not the athlete that a lot of other guys are, and so he puts me in the mind of a Mike Hilton, or even another guy said that okay, if he's a slot corner, he's Mike Hilton. If you're telling me he's a safety, then he's a guy that I liked. I want to say like 2 years ago out of Oregon, Javon Holland. Javon Holland was a guy that blended that safety, the strong safety role, but he's a guy that, and especially now that he's in the league and he's with Miami.
Yeah.
He's made the transition from Brian Branch's role to he's a true, real deal strong safety. Now he still plays a lot of slot, but the way that Javon Holland is playing in the league in Miami is the role that I hope Brian Branch can settle into. But like I said, he's more Mike Hilton than Javon Holland. I think he's not as physical as either of those two guys. Because Mike Hilton get in there, and I don't know how, but Mike Hilton have finished his season with like 7 tackles for a loss. It's like, how the hell 185-pound, 5'9" slot corner get 7 tackles for a loss? Because he's physical, he gets in there, he finds a way to get around or get through blockers, and he still makes tackles. But nah, like I said, boy, I'm telling you, you came a long way, man. You came a long way. I'm telling you, you could read my paper on some of these guys today, man. I'm telling you.
Ooh, I think you starting to come around, Willie Jack. That's what I think what's really happening, man. I've been trying to tell you for a long time, man. Willie Jack, let's run back these lists real quick, man. Let me know, man. Give me your 1 through 5 again, man, so everybody can hear what's going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, number 1, man, I had Brian Branch, man, slot cornerback out of Alabama. Number 2. The next safety snap he takes will be the first. The next safety snap he takes in the NFL preseason.
I like the way you threw that in there. That was smooth the way you threw that in there, boy. Out of Alabama.
Bro, because that's what it was, dog. I'm telling you. Like, he didn't have any, I didn't see any snaps where he came out and lined up as a safety. I did see sometimes where they rotated back, so he fell back with a receiver going, and he pushed him around the circle, and so now he's on. I didn't see any just pure safety snap, just alignments. You know what I'm saying? Number 2, I went with Jordan Battle, man. He's my high floor. The ceiling is the floor. You know what I'm saying? Just be here, do what I need you to do. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna ask you to do nothing else. I played it safe with Jordan Battle number 2. Number 3, I ended up settling on Antonio Johnson for Texas A&M. He's a guy I think, man, with his man cover ability and his size, I think he's got some upside coming. Like I said, I think he's listed 198. I think in 2 years he's gonna be 205. And like I said, man, I think he's gonna be a guy that I can see that really takes another step here in 2-3 years. Number 4, I ended up going Jair Brown. He's just a wild dog, man. He's just a dog off his chain, man. We just gotta hone him in and teach him how to attack. I liked a lot of the things I saw as far as his temperament. And like I said, he's a guy that plays free, but like I said, he comes down and throws his nose in the mix with everybody else. And number 5, man, I went Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown and Jair Alexander, man, I honestly could have flipped them because Sidney Brown has way more ball production, man. 6 picks this last year. I know I saw a pick 6 in one of the games I watched for sure. But he's still another guy as well, man. Ultra aggressive, ultra athletic guy, but a guy that's also a guy, man. He's a wild dog off his chain, man. We just got to teach him how to attack.
For sure, man. With my list, man, I had Brian Branch also out of Alabama, slot corner. I had J.L. Skinner at number 2, man, out of Boise State. Jamie Robinson, Florida State, man, at my number 3 spot. Antonio Johnson, just like Willie Jack had. I had him in my 4 spot, though, the Texas A&M. And then we got Sidney Brown out of Illinois. I had him in my number 5 spot, Willie Jack. So,
yeah. Any honorable mentions that we didn't talk about? You want to get some love?
Not necessarily. We kind of talked about.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did actually.
On each other's list, I think me and your list, so we had a few different names. So we kind of talked about most of them. I mean, there's probably a couple other guys out there. You know what I'm saying? Mention their names. You got Jartavius Martin out there.
Was that Illinois or no?
Out of Illinois as well. Yeah. Daniel Scott out of there, out of California. So there's a couple other guys out there, but we mainly talked about the guys that, you know what I'm saying, that I felt like I would have wanted to mention that you have on your list as well.
And I'll tell you a guy, man, that I considered, or that I guess I didn't say, but Christopher Smith out of Georgia, the safety there, 5'11", 192. He's a free safety. I think he's got decent range, man. He'll come and fill downhill. He was a guy I liked. I don't know if he was going to make 5, but he was probably a guy that's going to be like, if my list went to 10, he'd have been on the list somewhere in there. Like he'd have been like 5 to 10. You know what I mean? Like I did kind of like some of the things I saw there with his range. And like I said, man, he's another guy, man. He's a free safety, but he'll come down the field, man, and run the alley for sure.
For sure. All right, Willie Jack, man. Well, that's it, and that's all, man.
That's all.
We talked about them safeties, man. We ran through some news. We went through all those different things with y'all today, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. I know we got our peoples in the building. You know what I'm talking about. You know,
I know that.
Y'all definitely know how it go, man. But Willie Jack, I think it's about that time, man. Bring us on home, dog.
Hey, like my dog said, man, that's it. That's all. We came, we saw, and we conquered the safeties, man. So appreciate y'all the love, man. I know we didn't get to y'all today, man. But hey, I already know the members was in the building, man. Y'all know who y'all are, man. We appreciate y'all, man. We will be back like we never left, man. Y'all know what's going on, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. We don't wear no white because we ain't got nowhere else to be but in here cooking football flavor with the fam. Now, the only one thing left to do, Chop. One thing left to do, man. What's next week, man? What you think?
Hey, we let me see. You brought up the safeties. You know, so we did a little bit of defense. You brought up a couple of things. It's 2 positions I really want to do, man.
Okay.
But you brought up a position group where I think it can be a very talented, man. This tight end group, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think we got a good tight end group.
For sure.
Coming in. So maybe we can touch on those tight ends, man. And then, of course, we may. I think we definitely got to do the running backs before it's all over. But we got a couple weeks, though.
For sure.
We got a couple weeks, so let's do tight ends this next week, Willie Jack.
Nah, for sure. Now this tight end group is heavy. It really is. The tight end group. The tight ends may be the second deepest group to cornerback. You know what I'm saying? Like there's legit probably 7 dudes that are going to get drafted. Like in the first 3 rounds, but there's definitely probably 7 guys there, man, right at the top that are going to be playmakers pretty soon to their careers for sure.
For sure.
All right. Yeah, all right then, my dog. Well, hey, there y'all have it, man. Y'all know what's going on, man. Tap it with your dogs, man. We appreciate all the love as always. And then just like that, man, next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, tight ends, we will be back. Till then, y'all stay safe, y'all stay smooth. Peace.